based on a real incident that happened, and it was shocking to me that this would happen to a Latin body in the 90s, and then now we seeing it prevalent everywhere. Secondly, was that the Latin family was absent in the whole canon of American theater. I mean, how could we be absent? It was shocking to me how excluded we are. I mean, we can talk about all the reasons why it hadn't happened, and I just felt it was going to be my mission in life to put the Latin family into the canon of American plays. I know it's ambitious, I know it's maybe arrogant, but I felt it was a needed fix to what I felt was an error in our American culture. How could we be excluded? We're almost a third of the population. We will be soon, and we contribute $4.2 trillion to the GDP. Why can't we have a fucking play about our family? And Crafty Nelson, I mean, you know, all the great classic plays about American families, all the protagonists are sick fucks. I mean, because Mary Tyrone, not everybody, white woman is like a heroin addict or whatever it was back then. And then not everybody is like, in All My Sons, the dad, who's basically killed so many innocent soldiers in his own country by being greedy. That's not every Jewish man, so it's like, it's a crazy thing, but that's what you have to build into the archetype of a classical family. This guy Nelson believes in the American dream that's promised him to the point that he'll even sacrifice his own family to achieve it. You know, I feel like that's what the sickness of American capitalism is to me.
Yeah, and that last moment in the play is just sitting up there with Ruben just gets me every time. You just see how so stuck in that he is. Ruben, for you, similar, going off of something John said, I remember in rehearsal you talking a lot about the specific feel and rhythm of a Latin household and how important that was to orchestrating John's play. I'd love if you could talk a little bit about how you approached that from a directorial standpoint.
Well, it's, people of color, we go out in the world and we're always on the periphery, and we always have to make ourselves smaller so other people that take up too much air can get their air. And I want this to be a place where everybody can be big and full and take their space and own their space and not be on the periphery, be in the center of the world. Because it's like we walk in the rooms and we gotta wonder, are white people comfortable? Because we wear our hat to the side, or we may talk a different way, or we may sag a little bit. You gotta bring them to you. You gotta turn up and down mouth. So this is a place where everybody's a king and queen. So you come home, this is your safe refuge. This is your place. So live it, fill it up, fill up every little corner. Of the house. Find a place to be and own it. And then to put it in this theater, which is 1/3 the size of what we did in DC, 1/3, and 15% is obstacles. There's 2 poles in the middle. So somewhere, somehow, you're gonna.
What this man did is miraculous.
Somewhere, somehow, you're gonna miss something, but you're gonna get something else. So everybody gotta get fed at one time or another. So, but this is where I want people to breathe in who they are, and feel up that not just the space, but the world, being proud, strong people that have all the angst and anxiety and love and laughter and joy and pain as anybody else. Everything that's innate in human life is in a Latin family, in a Latin man, and a Latin woman's heart.
Beautifully said. Yeah, it's I'm also similarly amazed at how incredible you, and we should shout out Arnolfo, who was our set designer, who designed the set for, who also designed the DC. It's a big, beautiful space down there, and a slight real estate problem down here. But I'm amazed constantly at the miracles that happen on this stage. The thing that strikes me is that both of you are writers and performers, among many other things that you are. And I'm curious, and also both of you are, I'm a giddy fan of both of you, in no small part because of your mastery of the solo art form, the solo show. You know, John was last on this stage, was it 2019 or 2018? 2018 with Latin History for Morons, which like then took over the world, right? My boss Oscar Eustace is always fond of saying that like Ruben is like one of the pillars of the public theater. Lackawanna Blues, which was just on Broadway a couple years ago, is just one of the many great pieces of solo art that exist. And I'm curious for both of you, this might be a wonky question, but do you approach solo work differently than you do multi-character drama? Like, what is that thought process like to you? For those of us who aren't writers and performers, like, how do you, are they different in your mind? Are they the same?
Well, my one-man shows are plays. They've always been plays. In the 3-act structure, right in the 3-act structure.
True.
Which is more screenplay than it is play, because plays are 2-act structure, but I read the 3-act structure.
Right.
And, you know, some great writers suggest a 5-act structure is a more perfect structure.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree with that. Because then you take out all the boring moments and everything has an objective and a goal. To me, it's always a play, and I play a lot of different characters, so they're all talking to each other in scenes. So to me, it's the same thing. The difference is, this is a tragedy. My plays were all comedies with a lot of pain, and I brought a lot of pain to the American comedy, and and the autobiography to it. But this was not autobiographical, but it was based on a real incident, and it's a tragedy. So that was very different. And luckily, I had Ruben helming it, and guiding it, and he really brought out something that was really important to this piece that makes it, I think, special. Is he brought out the love and kept the love alive.
Absolutely.
And that was one of his many gifts. But that was a very special gift that he gave to the play.
Yeah.
Well, I did one person show Lackawanna Blues, and even though been coaxed and asked and pleaded with to do more, that's the one I wanted to do. And what I do is learn the rules as a writer, and then I break them, but I learn them first.
Right.
So Lackawanna Blues broke every rule. So, and I made a point of it. I started to play out with 9 single lines in the dark, with 9 different voices, before I walked down stage and become an 80-year-old woman.
Right.
So it's like, but what made it more unique for me was that I also directed it, wrote it, and produced it, and starred it. And it has never been done on Broadway, in the history of Broadway, and it still has never been done again.
Yeah.
Write, direct, and star it. So that was enough for me. So it was like, what I always need to do is learn what the rules are. And then before you start breaking them, a lot of younger writers just start breaking the rules from the beginning, learning first. So you know what you're doing. But it's all like John said, it's a play, you do a play, It's like you find entertainment in what we do, but what we're doing is enlightening. We're here to enlighten you. We're here to tear down the distorted images of who we are as people, to make us whole again. In very few places can we speak truth without being scorned, locked up, or killed. In the theater you can. When you have a writer like John, he's going to speak the truth. And unabashedly, unashamed, and proudly. And so no one can muffle this. That's why theater is so important to support it and always keep bringing people in, because this is where we speak the truth.
Right.
No one can stop it. They can stop this one, stop it. I'll do it on the street, on the corner. I'll do it in the lunchroom at your high school. I'll do it in the basement at my church. They can't stop this. And so you have to have writers like that are brave and courageous and powerful in what they need to say.
Yeah, this play and both of your work on it is such a great reminder of why theater matters. Not just for the visibility of stories like this, but because this is a place where we can work out our human struggles, our contradictions in ourselves, the issues we have with our families and trauma we've inherited. It's an extraordinary thing. You mentioned the love that Ruben brought to the show, John, and y'all don't know this. Well, first of all, how about the rest of this cast? We're very proud. And we're really lucky because we got to, it was the same cast at Arena Stage last year that it was here, and this company, I've worked on a lot of shows here at Public, and I've rarely seen a company that has just gelled and supported and loved each other as much as this cast has. Eagle-eyed.
Because we're Latin.
Is that what it is?
Because we Southside rehearsal.
Yeah.
Oh, do they ever? I was always off to the side, but yes. I know you did. That was nice of you.
But it's true.
Listen to it.
In Latin culture, it's beat into you that family is the most important thing, that the individual is not the most important thing, which is very, America is about the individual and sort of the nuclear family, but it's still about the individual. In Latin culture, family is everything. You have to sacrifice everything for the family unit. And no matter what you do, how Americanized you are, that's still in your DNA. And you can't help but always like bring everybody into your fold and hug everybody and kiss everybody.
That's so great. I mean, and I guess, and that leads you a great question. You mentioned family, which I've never actually asked you, Ruben, but for those eagle-eyed folks who looked at the program, one of the actors in the company is Trey Santiago Hudson, to be this man's son. What was it like to direct your son?
Well, John is the one that hired him.
That's true.
Everybody has the story all screwed up. Ruben brought his son. I told him, I said, I can't get him to do what I want at home. I said, I'm not working with my son or daughter. My daughter works in TV and film and stage as well, Lily Santiago. But I said, no, but John said, no, I gotta have this kid.
Yeah.
You know, he did a cold reading one day because we needed somebody to read the role, and the person we thought was gonna be there wasn't there. And John, I think, asked me, and I said, no, I'm not gonna read it, I'm gonna hear it. But my son's downstairs, let me see if he'll pick it up. He can get no rehearsal, it's gonna be cold. And I think 10 minutes into the reading, John was texting me, can we get it? I don't know, I'm his agent.
Yeah.
It was over with.
He was amazing in the reading, incredible. I mean, the best I've ever seen somebody interpret the role. Because the role is, I guess, the hardest role in the play. To play a kid who is suffering from CTE, from the beatings, because he was beaten in the head with a baseball bat and stomped on the head with boots, and then took his life. So he has to portray all that happens to CTE, which is you can't control your rage, you have fits, you can't, your executive function doesn't work, you don't have any buffers, and usually they take their lives.
And I was worried about that, you know, for my son and anybody, because it's a come down time for that. If you really invested in it, and he's got to go there, you know. So I think in a lot of ways we're very fortunate that little mistake happened, and he got to read it because it's one of the proudest moments of my life as a dad and as an artist, to see not only him but, you know, Bradley and Rebecca, these young actors who I know are going to have these great futures, you know, these careers in front of them, and then to tackle very, very difficult drama in an incredible theater. This is the public theater, and I remind them of that a lot. This is the place, the destination I came to when I came to New York in '83. I walked my ass right up there to see Rosemary. I said, somebody told me go see Rosemary. I said, they told me come see you. Years later, everything comes around full circle, and I'm back. You know, so to see these young, particularly like Trey and Rebecca, them to make their off-Broadway debut here at the public theater, they will keep that in their hearts and in their careers for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great.
Well, we have a few minutes left, and I want to make sure we get any questions from our friends in the audience. If you have any, oh my God, you just waved really, really emphatically at me. I'm so sorry. So.
I just want to thank you for writing this. This was phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
And something that you said resonated with me. All of this resonates with me, but something you said particularly resonates with me as far as within Latin families and families sacrificing. When you wrote this, did you intend for the son to be a Jesus-like figure, where he sacrificed himself?
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. the son is a sacrifice, but I thought it was more because of the father's sins. You know, that the son's taking his life, even though it's part of CTE, it's also the father's sins that are coming to visit and haunt him for what his choices are in life. I feel like Nelson, there's a part of me that loves Nelson because I understand his immoral cul-de-sac, because he hits this dead end where, you know, you're a smart Latin man, you're an ambitious Latin man, you're promised the American dream, and yet it's always, your hand's always slapped when you're about to grab the brass ring, your hand's always pulled away, or the brass ring is always pulled away from you because there's all these obstacles, and it makes you sometimes either go crazy or doing immoral things to better your family, even to the point of sacrificing your family. So that's what I wanted to represent with this play, and to tackle racism in America, you know, because it hasn't gone away. I mean, as you can see, what we're living through right now, how Latin bodies are being treated, Latin lives are being treated and disappeared and kidnapped by masked people. I mean, that's the reality we're living in. That Latin life doesn't matter, it doesn't count.
That question. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I was just curious about the development of the piece from you as the writer and then you as the director, like when you connected and how that process worked.
Well, you know, I came to the public under Oscar Eustace and Mandy Hackett when she was here, and they nurtured the writing, they gave me workshops, which I love. You know, I love workshops. And then Ruben jumped in early on, and then we started shaping it together, doing workshops together. And then we got the privilege of working with Hannah Sharif at the arena stage, and she became, you know, took us under her wing, and that was incredible.
Great. Yes, right here.
Hi, thank you both so much for this work. I'm a first-generation Colombian American, even Jackson Heights grew up there, so it's like equal roads to me. I think you both talked a little bit about like what the public theater means. I think for me, like growing up in the city, like the public theater was the first way I got to see accessible theater. You know, Shakespeare in the Park, and like I think that really, you know, opens a new world for a lot of people. So I think I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts on like accessibility in terms of the arts, and you know, I think also for you as a father, seeing your son kind of in this world, like what that means about allowing access for us as Latinos into this kind of space.
Well, you know, you say kind of in this world. No, he's in this world. And my daughter, the same. This is their life. This is their career. You know, this is how they make their living. And so, as a father, all I ever told them is what I came up very, very poor in a moving house in Lackawanna. You saw Lackawanna Blues old movie. You can see it on YouTube free. But so I wanted better for them. So I wanted but I was always told whatever I wanted to do, that I would be very good or great at, but I just couldn't half step, as my mama said. So that means give it all. So same thing I told them, whatever you want to do, school teacher to a janitor, to a doctor, to the president, just go all the way. So when they said they wanted to be actors, I didn't push them there. I like, got a doctor out of it. You know what I'm saying? But then they made their own way. But the theater is going to be built on cultivating the next generation like you. And so we have to make theater accessible to you. I'm doing another play right now, which I mean, as an actor, tickets are $400. And it just pisses me off. And I'm saying, no one I know can see it. You know, I mean, here, at least people that I want to see it, they don't have money, I give my little money up and I buy them. You buy when I buy you. You know, or they help me with the artist rate or something, because I have to bring them in too. But the theaters have a responsibility, the patrons have a responsibility to always try to cultivate that next audience by bringing somebody young to the theater, start them young. So when we don't have Wednesday matinees, we don't get the school kids. Right. And we wanted them to do them here, but that's not what they do. So, but maybe we will encourage them to bring that Wednesday matinee back. We can bring those high schools. When I played in the theater, we would bring the high school kids in. They were raucous, they were crazy. Yeah. Now they have programs, they have classes where the teachers come in and teach them. They have work programs about the play. and they write about it, and they talk about it, and they come in and they sit there and they fold their hands, and they're the best audience in the world. And they, you know, they have feelings about it, you know, and they not, early on, they didn't have the study guides, now they have study guides. We have to bring the young kids here, encourage your kids, your cousins, all the young people, gotta keep them coming here.
But, and also importantly, is nurturing the next Latino playwrights, creating an environment, reaching out, you know, because how do you get the next Latino family play? Where does that come from? You need to be nurturing, and you need to be working towards getting that talent, and because how is it possible that we are equal to white people in New York City, and we're so invisible in every area? It's just a crazy existence to be living a parallel life in this city and not seeing Latin people all over the place. Like in the New York Times staff, when I look at it, I'm looking for Latin names and I barely see anyone. And it's like, we're equal to white people. White people 32%, we're 31.6%. And with our undocumented brothers and sisters, I'm sure we're over the mark. But we're still like living in a cultural apartheid in the city. That's what I feel like when I look at magazines, newspapers, theater. It's just like we're just erased and invisible. So we need to make sure we're conscientious about creating a space where Latin playwrights are nurtured and developed so they can keep creating our stories. Because our stories, Plato said, he who creates stories controls society. And we're not controlling society.
What you know, this is probably not the popular thing to say, but a lot of it is our responsibility. You know, we can't get ours and get on the mountain and just say, okay, I got mine. We have to put our money. You just talked about trillions of dollars. How much of that is going into nurturing the next artist? When I was at Manhattan Theater Club for the last 3 years as the artistic advisor, one of the things that I made happen was I said, you're giving 11 commissions away? Eight of them have to go to people of color, and 3 of them must be produced. That was my mission, that's what I set out, and that's what they did. Prior to that, if you don't say it, you don't make it your responsibility to stand there in the gauntlet and say, listen, we don't move, you ain't moving past me. If you want me here, you want my brand, you want my name on your program, then you gotta feed my community. Somewhere they gotta eat too. When the food gets out, we have to eat. And the thing we talk about the Latin households, I was very fortunate because I had a Latin household and a black household, and they the same. They're the damn same, you know. My father made better rice and beans than same. You know, when we eat, the food is good, we dance. You know what I mean? That's different. We just different. But we have to take responsibility too.
Today, like 30 years ago, we wouldn't have even seen anything written up about that.
No.
We spent so much time being visible ourselves. My name is Alicia Rivera. I come from my parents from South Bronx. I was raised in San Francisco. I was raised to assimilate. And so, you know, to get ahead, you need something to be found. And that was so profound. Like tonight, so many things happened in the story. It was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fail people right now. I could, you know, I really resonate all these stories.
You know,
the restlessness to try and get ahead. We never feel satisfied.
But the other thing is we are a very segregated community, Latin community. And you know, this other play that I was putting up, and I said the thing we have to do is I said I'm gonna do 3 Latin plays in a row. Because I hadn't served that community the way that I wanted to. So I said, well, you know, I'm at the position now, I can choose that. So, but I said to the ad people, I want to cast the net wide. So I want the music to be all over the place. I want music from Ecuador, I want music from Cuba, I want music from, you know, any Latin country. So I had Ricky Gonzalez write music, all styles. And because I wanted to cast it, I wanted somebody to say, "Wepa," I wanted somebody to say, I wanted to hear everything. And when we did the play at the Old Globe, that's how it was. The Mexican audience screamed at a song, the Puerto Rican audience screamed at a song, the San Salvador, they screamed at a song. And so we have to find a way to find where's the glue. Where's the glue? How do we glue this back together? We can do it through art. But you know, when we do this play, this is not a play for a Puerto Rican audience or a Colombian audience. It's for all of us. But we have to be the core. We have to lead the way.
I mean, look at the cast. The cast, you got a Cuban, You got Puerto Ricans, you got Colombians, Salvadorians, Dominicans, Mexicans. You got the whole plethora, diaspora of Latin culture on that stage, and it's a family. It's a unit.
I think we have time for maybe one more question.
I gotta go. But
All right, one more question for Last question. Anyone have a question?
I can't answer John's question.
Yeah. Questions for Ruben. Yeah, right here.
I was gonna ask, I am an actor and writer. This play was very important because, like what John mentioned earlier, what you mentioned about taking up space is, you know, in high school and college, like a lot of plays that I did weren't Latino-centric. And so, with that, and given the state of everything that's going on and things that happened, you know, prior to me being born, how have you made sure to stay disciplined in art while things are happening to prevent you from being burnt out?
That's a long, it's like a lot of things you just asked. First of all, you gotta set your goals. And then the second thing you have to do after you set your goals, figure out what's the next right move toward that goal. You dig? If I say I'm gonna do a Latin play, I just can't go to anybody and say, I'm doing a Latin play. I have to figure out who it's important to. And sometimes it's not the play that's important, it's me. I have to figure out who is saying, Ruben, we gotta get you to this theater. Ruben, we gotta get you here. Then I say, well, you can get me here with a yes on this play. When John talked about Hana Sharif, I sat with John when he had the play. I said, what you want to do? You want to try it out somewhere? He said, yeah. I said, where you want to go? Honestly. He said, well, I said, name 4 cities. And out of 3 of those 4, I can make a phone call and get the play there. So tell me which one you want, first, second, and third. First call I made was to Hana Sharif. I said, I got a play. She kept saying, I got space down here. I got a slot. I said, I got a play. John Leguizamo wrote a play. She said, oh yeah, I'd like to meet you. But I got a slot. I said, well, we'll be on the Amtrak and we'll be down there. So it was because she didn't have in her intention at that point to do John's play. John didn't make the call. I made the call. She didn't take it. I knew who was next. So first, you make your plan, what your goal is, then you figure out what's the next right move. And it's going to be several moves to success. Success ain't like this. That truck don't roll up with the big check and say, you publisher's clearing out. That don't happen. What happens is you make it happen. Because every day you got to get up and seeking excellence. And then excellence just don't, it's like magic, wave magic wand. It's working every day. You have to work harder than the white person. It's the truth. People might not want to hear it. It is the truth. You got to be better. Better than you gotta, if they deny you when you walk in the room, you chose you when you walked in the room because you did the work. So when you walk in, that glitter in your eye is like, I'm the one. I'm the one. Now you might not pick me, but I'm the one. And you need to know that because if you get whacked and torn down in that room, you have to build yourself up enough that they can never get to your heart. You build up armor. You build up armor by being successful, by doing theater, doing plays, seeing plays, reading. You build up armor because this business is going to continue to whack off pieces of that armor. But if you don't have no armor, they whack it into your heart. They whack it into the soft parts of your body and soul. So you build up armor by working and being excellent. And that's always been my goal. And more than anything, as a young person, this advice I'll give you. Your job is to be fine at what you do. Because people buy fine cars, fine wine, fine art, fine clothes. They like fine women, fine men. If you're fine at what you do, somebody's buying. So your job is to be fine at what you do, then take a stand. Take a stand and help us in this army. Help us fight. What you got to do.
That is a beautiful